Welcome to the Bag Maker's Workroom. I am Chris with Simply Classic, and today is Thursday, January 23rd, 2025. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It is cold out there. It's even cold here in Georgia. But we want to remind you that we are here every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for the Bag Maker's Workroom live stream. We love that you can join us. We really appreciate all of you being here. If you ever can't make it, no worries. You can rewatch the replay on our YouTube channel. That is just at Simply Classic Handbags. And you can just watch at your leisure. It's great. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon so that you can know when we are going live and when new videos post. And of course, the best part of live streams is I get to interact with all of you. So please make sure you post any comments or questions in the chat. And as time permits at the end, we will go ahead and answer some of your questions. So let's kind of take a look and see how everybody is doing out there this evening. I see that Rock Leatherwork says, hello from cold and stormy Canada. It's so cold here. Even my pet polar bear doesn't want to go outside. I'll tell you, it has been cold. We had pipes freeze today. That's how cold we were. So we had a couple inches of snow yesterday too. So for the second time this year, we had snow in Georgia. Some people in Florida had snow. So it's been crazy. Christine says, I'm in Windsor, Virginia, USA. It's cold, 19, got a couple inches of snow yesterday. Well, we are so glad that everybody has hopefully got power and is cozy warm. Hopefully, it would be nice if we could send some of this weather out to Los Angeles, right, and help those folks out. I think we're all kind of praying for them. So, all right. Oh, Cindy says, hi, Chris. I can't wait to meet you in September. Fantastic. Yes, we are looking forward to being in Sacramento. So before we start out, I do want to tell you one thing or read one comment. One of the winners from last week's size swag calendar, her name is Nikki, and she wrote a nice email. She said, I'm so excited I've won this calendar. I'm new to bag making, and all of your videos and live have definitely sparked my interest in bag making. I think the calendar will definitely help me in my bag making journey. And I am so excited that Nikki won that calendar, because what better way to be introduced into bag making by having a calendar of coupons that you can use to buy supplies and stock up. So again, congratulations, Nikki. We are so excited that you won. Okay, we are going to start out tonight with a Simply Classic scoop like we do each week. Let me just say, tonight's episode is all about bags, handles, and straps. And we have a lot of stuff out here to go over. We actually had to kind of shorten some of the videos or the photos we had for you, because otherwise we probably would have been here at 10 o'clock tonight. There's a lot to go over. But we just want to quickly run through the Simply Classic scoop. Of course, we'll be in Chattanooga next month, which is coming up so fast. I've already been talking with them, and we are going to be giving the Simply Classic Clutch on the 28th of February. And then the Bircham on March 1st. And so there are a few seats available. We have the link down in the description below. So go ahead and check that out if you're interested in going. If you go, I encourage you to take both classes. Unless you've already taken a Simply Classic Clutch class from me, it's definitely worth it to take both. We'd love to see you both days. Okay. And then, as we mentioned just a minute ago, we will be in Sacramento, California from September 12th through 14th. I will be teaching 3 classes out there. It is the Julie, the Simply Classic Clutch, and the Sorella. Last week, VIP tickets went on sale. And I know that there's a limited number. I think they sold, last I knew, they had sold about 100 of 150 tickets. That might have changed. But if you have a VIP ticket, you get early access to the classes, among some other goodies. So it's obviously a bonus if you can go ahead and do that. If not, then regular tickets are also on sale now. And I believe that Sherry said that all the bag classes will be posted on, I think, February 1st. So you can kind of take a look and see what teachers are going to be there. We have a great crew, and you can see what bag classes you would like to take, as well as kit fees. All that will be on there. She's working hard to get all that done for you. So thank you, Sherry, for all your hard work. I think it's going to be a great event. So we also want to mention that we are in the middle of our January leather bag making by machine Banda class. And of course, the Banda bag is this bag up here. We've talked about it for the past few weeks. Great class. We're having a great time. We had an amazing Zoom last night. Really enjoy the Zooms because I get to interact with all of you. And so there's been some requests for a February class. So we went ahead and opened one up. I think it's maybe about half full. I'm not really sure. I know we still have some seats left. So go ahead and check that out as well if you'd like to join us. It is a great class if you've never worked with leather before. We show you how to cut the leather. We show you how to glue the stiffeners to the leather. We go over edge painting, and it's a basic bag. Okay, there's no zippers or nothing complicated about it. It just gets you comfortable working with leather. So the class includes 6 pre-recorded videos, 3 live Zooms. It includes your class kit. And the class kit is the leather, the stiffeners, the lining, the hardware, the glues, the applicators. I mean, you name it, pretty much everything is in there. The only thing you need is a sewing machine, some thread, scissors, the normal stuff. So if you're interested, go ahead and check out the link. We would love to have you. We have a great time in the class. So it's a great thing. Okay, we are going to move on to our featured product tonight. And we mentioned this a little bit last week, but we're going to switch to the overhead projector and we're going to go over our new webbings. So we have 6 new webbings here in the shop. And there's basically 2 patterns. We have this peacock pattern, which are these 4 right here. And then we have this zigzag pattern. Now, the webbings are the colors, just so you kind of know, they're double-sided. This is tan and beige, and you can see it's kind of got like this camel tan color, and on the back it's a really pretty cream, black, and brown. The blue and yellow is really, I think a lot of people might have a misconception about the color. It's really gorgeous. It's got kind of like this goldish color on the back. Really beautiful. We've got a blue and red, and the color on the back of that is kind of a white, blue, and red color. And then we have our silver gray, and this is really beautiful because on the back of this is kind of a light blue. So what you might be seeing here is like a cream color is actually a light blue. Super pretty. And then we have our earth green zigzag, and we have this gray multicolor. Now, these webbings are 1.5 inches wide. And we really, I really tried to focus on webbing that you don't see every day. Okay. Some of these are things that I had never seen before, like this peacock webbing, I think is just gorgeous and something very unique. I went ahead and paired some hardware with it so you kind of see what the hardware looks like. This tan and beige is by far my favorite. And the bronze hardware goes amazing with it. So here's just a bronze ring that we have, about 1.5 inches wide. It's, of course, our rings are really substantial, nice and thick, great quality. And it just looks amazing with this tan and beige. I also think that the bronze goes amazing with this blue and gold or blue and yellow color. It really works because it's really more of a gold. It's like a dark gold color, and it looks great with it. The bronze also goes with this earth green. I mean, they match amazingly well. And then for the blue and red, we suggest the nickel hardware, mostly because of the white in there. And then for this silver gray, the gunmetal is amazing with it. I mean, it is just so pretty. And it doesn't matter which way you put it. I mean, it's just really, either way, that gunmetal really stands out. And then lastly, of course, the gray multicolor is the gunmetal hardware as well. Okay. So we do have 1.5 inch hardware. We have it in, of course, the D-rings, the slat adjusters, the swivel clasps. We also have these O-rings. I think that's everything, but it's pretty much everything you need to make a strap. So we sell this in 60-inch sections. Okay, the pre-cut 60-inch, and it's enough to make either a crossbody strap or 2 30-inch handles. Okay. So check out that new selection of wedding. So we are going to move on to perfect pairings. And in our perfect pairings, we are going to keep this. Let me push some of this webbing over. We're going to keep this tan and beige because it is by far my favorite. And for perfect pairings, what we suggest is solids. So we have a solid chocolate brown and we have our cream, which go great together. This is amazing with it. I mean, it doesn't matter what side you use. This cream in here pairs with these two perfectly. So if you're going to make a bag with it, we suggest the lining by Tilda, this brown chambray. And then for thread, you can use the dark brown thread in either a Tex 45 or a Tex 70, depending on what kind of machine you have. And this combination right here would really make a gorgeous bag. Okay. So that is what we have for perfect pairings tonight. So we are going to move on to sharpen your skills. And we are going to have a demonstration. But before we do, we want to show you some slides and we want to go over some different types of handles and straps. Okay. Just the different varieties. So the first thing we want to show you is this slide. It is a really beautiful Patricia Nash bag, and it has this ring handle. Now, what I really like about it is look at that strap connector or that handle connector on the bag. It is so substantial, and it really looks like, even though that ring might be, I'm not really sure how thick it is, but I really love the way it looks on that bag. And then, of course, you have a crossbody as well to use if you would prefer that. For something a little dressier, we have this Jimmy Choo bag. And I love the pearls on it. It is, now this is a bag, this is like an evening bag, something you would use for an event, like a wedding or some kind of dressy event in the evening. But it's just a really unique handle. I thought this was really pretty. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about Gucci tonight in our history, but they were known for this cane or wood handle. And this is a compact tote, and they still use these handles today. And then talk about making it work. This is a rope handle, and it is we had a discussion ahead of time. Did they do something to make the rope stand up like this, or is it just styled like this for the picture? And I think it's just styled like this for the picture, because you can see this is just a rope. I think what I'd want to do is put something around the part where my hand grabs the rope. So, because you know how a lot of times this rope is real picky. I don't know, but anyway, it is like a marine tote, and it's got a rope handle. And I mean, how unique. So those are some more unique materials, but let's go over the different types of handles and straps and what we typically see in bags. Okay, we're going to look at some Simply Classic bags, and I'm going to show you some of the handles that we have. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to go to the overhead, and I'm going to show you a slip handle. Now, this is the Simply Classic clutch, and a lot of you have known this bag, seen this bag. And understand that a clutch, by definition, is something you hold. Okay, it's not a wristlet. That's different. This is a clutch. So what this handle does is it allows you to slip your hand in and just give it a little something to hold on to. Okay, you're actually holding on to the clutch itself, but it just gives it a little extra. You know, reality is probably it's really more of a decorative piece. But it's certainly something that maybe secures the bag to your hand a little better than just holding it on its own. Then, of course, we have wristlets. And wristlets are so popular, right? We all know what wristlets are, and we all know how to use them. And you can certainly do unique things with your wristlets. Look at this one here. You can really tell we've got a twist going on. And a wristlet, by definition, of course, actually slips onto your wrist, and you hold it that way. Okay, so again, nothing rocket science here. The next thing I would like to talk to you about is a double handle bag. Now, a double handle bag is a bag like most bags we see, right? There's double handles, two handles. And this Roseanne is a double handle bag because obviously it has two handles. But in addition, we also did this kind of faux rolled handle effect with, of course, faux leather. It's not a real rolled handle because there's no core in there. It's just kind of a faux. It gives it that look, and it definitely gives it that look here. If you'd like to see how to do this, you can go to the Roseanne video that we have on YouTube and watch how we do it. But anything with two handles is a double handle bag. All right, moving on, we have top handle bags. And the Busta is a really good example of a top handle bag. And it also has convertible handles. And basically a convertible handle just means you have a way to remove the handle and do something different. So of course, the Busta bag, you have this chain, which will take it from daytime, maybe with this handle, to evening. And this is considered a top handle bag because there's one handle for the bag. So a lot of times you see your hobo bags with one handle to help it achieve that kind of hobo look. But this here is a good example of a top handle bag. Doesn't matter how long they are, it's just one handle. All right, moving along. Of course, we all know and love crossbody straps, right? So we can't live without them. Those are the things that we're able to use to go shopping, pick up the kids, take the dog for a walk, whatever it may be. Now, of course, there's different ways to do crossbody handles. You can do just a regular strap adjuster. In this case, I actually have a buckle. And because this is leather, I had to piece it because I didn't have a piece of leather long enough. But we all, again, crossbody handles are just a great thing. You wear it across your body, and it's super handy and makes everything a lot more convenient. Okay, another kind of handle that we use is a belt strap. So we're going to bring over the Sorella and show you that the Sorella is another example of a convertible bag because you can remove the handles. But in this case, we actually made it a belt. Okay, so this is a hip bag that you can wear around your waist, and essentially you could even wear it as a belt through your belt loops and kind of achieve two things with one. But because we're using gate O-rings, you can remove these handles and you can switch it out, and you can actually put a webbing strap on there. So a webbing strap, of course, is just like the webbing we just showed you, and it would be really beautiful. You know, like if you wanted to do the perfect pairings and do it in the Sorella and use that webbing, it'd be gorgeous. We also have these buckles here, plastic buckles, and I'm going to show you the 1.5 inch since the webbing that we have is 1.5 inch. The set comes with an actual buckle, a strap adjuster, and then a keeper. And you can see here in this photo that the buckle is curved so that when you wear it around your waist, it's comfortable. It's not straight and poking into you, or it lays nice and flat. So just know that we do have they are plastic, but they are adjustable buckles. They work great. You can see how nice and thick and hefty they are. And that's basically what I used here on this bag, only in the 1 inch size. All right, the next thing is a sling strap. Now a sling strap is similar to a crossbody strap, and it's going to go across your body, but it typically doesn't hang as low, okay? It typically goes around your back. So the closest thing that we have to that, we have a farfalla we'll look at in just a minute, but this is an Alley B. And the Alley B has this really unique strap. I mean, essentially it's a bucket bag, but it's a bucket bag that we've converted and made a single strap on it, okay? It is adjustable, and you can either wear this as a shoulder bag, which is how I wore it when I carried it, or you can make this as long as possible and wear it across your back as a sling. Okay, so that's a really super unique kind of strap that you don't see that often that will convert. But those sling bags or sling straps are really convenient, again, to keep you hands-free as you shop, walk the dog, or whatever else you may be doing. And then, of course, the last thing we want to talk about is backpack straps. And the farfalla is a backpack. Okay, you see you have two straps here that can turn it into a backpack, or with just a zipper pull, you can turn it into a sling. And of course, with the sling, you would just move it to whatever side you want, put it over your body, and then you will wear it as a sling. okay, or a backpack, whichever you prefer. So those are some really common types of handles that I mentioned there that you basically see in bags that you go to the store, or a lot of times when we buy bags, make bags, those are typically the kind of handles that we use. So we're going to do a little designer bag inspiration here before we move into our demonstration, because there's some really cool things out there. So here is a Patricia Nash bag. And this is a bucket bag style of bag. You'll see there on the right-hand side, we actually have this as a free pattern on our website. It's for that strap connector. I saw this bag a long time ago and really loved it. I love that strap connector. And so I replicated the pattern piece, and you can use it basically on any kind of bag you like. However you want to get creative with it, go ahead and download it and use it. The next slide is the latest video that we have. It's the Louis Vuitton Neverfull bag, and it's basically just a big tote bag. But we've got a pattern piece that you can download. Again, it's free from our website. And I show you in the video how to achieve this sewing to get the same kind of stitch as on the Louis Vuitton, and also how to apply it to your strap so you can go ahead and get the same look. We also have, this is a twisted strap. So here we have a Balenciaga bag. And what they did is did a sort of rolled handle. I'm sure it has some kind of core in there. And then they basically fed or sewed leather through it. They punched holes and sewed leather through it. On the right there, that twisted strap, I have a video that shows you how to do it. And this is really I love this strap. It's one of my favorite straps to do because it does have a core in it. And it makes it really substantial. And it's really, as long as you don't mind punching some holes, it's really a great strap, very high-end look. And then this here is Spartina $4.99. Now, I have to say, Spartina is really a great design house. I love Spartina. I don't look at them often enough. I need to do it more. But I love the way they use these grommets. And of course, the grommets that we have, those push together grommets, they're super easy to use. I love the way they reinforced it here with a little bit of extra leather. This is basically a cotton canvas bag. It's just a cotton canvas tote bag. And it's got the leather on the top as reinforcement. And then it's got the leather around those grommets as reinforcement. And I guess with all the snow on the ground, we can think spring and look at this really pretty floral canvas tote and get inspiration from it from maybe more than one way. Okay, this next slide is a Sack Roots tote bag. Now, this is interesting because it's webbing. I'm not sure the width. It might be 2 inches or 1.5. I'm not really sure. But regardless of the width, it looks like what they did is they sewed a piece of leather onto the bag, and then they threaded the webbing through the leather and then stitched it to itself. So they really used this in a very unique way. I'm not sure if the only thing that's holding onto that bag is that piece of leather right there. I might think that, I'm not sure how stable that is. I would think that somehow they sewed that strap onto the bag as well. I really like the way they finished that. And I'm not really sure how they did it. It's almost like they put some leather behind the strap because it looks like it has a finished edge on that webbing. But it's really pretty. I mean, it's really, really pretty. And it's really a good way to use webbing. Okay, we can't go through bag inspiration without talking about Louis Vuitton. So here we have a Louis Vuitton bag, and this is called the Teta. Now, this is inspiring for a couple of reasons. The first is because if you have a situation where you don't have a lot of leather left, okay, you've made a bag and you're kind of down to the nitty gritty and you have to do straps and you have to make it work, this is a great way to do it. Piece together what you have and make something from it and use hardware to make it work, which is what they did here. The other thing is it's taking a narrow strap. So you see where the buckle is attached to the bag, it's narrow, but it's making it wider where the bag sits on your shoulder. So it's a good way to go from a narrow strap to a wider strap, because let's face it, sometimes those narrow straps can be very uncomfortable on your shoulder. And this is a good way to take it from one aspect to the other. Here we have a Consuela bag, and this is a very simple design, but a couple things I want to point out. One is that, of course, the webbing is attached to the bag, and then they're putting a piece of leather over that to hide the raw edge. So I am sure that behind that webbing, behind that leather, that webbing is sewn to the bag, you know, like in a square or something to hold it nice and secure. And I just love the way they hid that. It's really pretty. The other thing I really like is this is a good way to take webbing that's thicker, because let's face it, the thicker the webbing or the thicker the strap, sometimes the harder it is to hold in your hand. And what they did is at the top where it sits on your shoulder, they folded it in half and stitched it, and then they put a piece of leather around it. So that makes it really comfortable on your shoulder or in your hand. So I'm assuming this is probably a 2-inch piece of webbing, which would be hard to hold, because let's face it, when it's in your hand, you'd be swishing it all the time. And it's a good way to make a transition and make it look really nice. Okay, this here is another little free pattern that we have on the site. It is like a fold over strap connector. It really didn't come from any kind of designer. I mostly see it on camera bags. Somebody had asked me a while ago if I would show them how to do one or do a pattern for one. So we did one. This is a little Sam Brown buckle that's on there. And basically what you do is you just pull that that flap up off that Sam Brown buckle, feed it through the keeper, and then you can disconnect your bag from whatever bag you have it on. Disconnect your strap from whatever bag you have it on. Okay, now this is the section that we could have gone on for about 5 hours, so we have limited these photos. We're almost done. But this bag, we sat here and we looked at this bag today. And we looked at it and we looked at it and we're like, what the heck? What are they doing here? So it looks like it is 2 gate rings. And each gate ring is threaded through a separate hole at the top of the bag. And then a separate strap is connected to each gate ring. I just thought it was really interesting they used 2 gate rings here, because typically I would think one would be more appropriate, but then maybe you wouldn't be able to open your bag the same way. I mean, I'm not really sure how this bag is put together, but it's the Bohem Tote by Rebecca Minkoff, and it's just really a different way. Of course, you can see her nod to the Dooney and Burke twisted handle here. She kind of did the same thing. You know, designers all feed off each other and they copy each other, and this is just kind of one of the ways that she did that. Here's a sack bag, and this bag here is the Las Filas bag, and it is a hobo style bag. Now, in order for the hobo bag to be a hobo bag, you have to have the top handle, like one handle, like we talked about earlier, okay? So that's what makes or gives the bag some of its shape. But what I liked about it is they made it a little bit longer, one with Sam Brown buckles, so it's adjustable. But then you also have this additional section or loop, I guess you could call it, on the side that holds the strap. So if you were to just connect the strap to the bag directly with maybe some kind of adjuster on the front or the back, the handle might get twisted some. And this is a good way to keep it nice and straight. So I thought that was really interesting. And this is not... The hardware and the way they did this strap just really intrigued us. So this is a Marc Jacobs bag. And basically it's a rolled handle that the ends are fed through this metal hardware, which they then looped around itself. So, you know, there's nothing, I guess, maybe super exciting about how, you know, the strap itself. I mean, it's just a rolled handle strap. But what I did like was the hardware, and what a unique way to use it. And of course, it's unique hardware. That's not something you're going to find just anywhere. It kind of is a nod to Chanel with the way that they actually fed the handle or the strap through the flap. And then it's almost like a bucket bag too, because you can see those two grommets where it pulls those sides together. So there's a lot of things happening here with the very simple looking bag, right? It's a very plain, simple looking bag, but it's got a lot going on. And then this one here is a Kate Spade boxy bag. Now, this is, you know, this handle would go on this bag and probably not many others. I mean, it's kind of unique, right? It's got some kind of, I don't know if it's metal or if it's wood or plastic. I'm not really sure what those little circles are made out of, but basically they just threaded the leather through it to make this handle, I guess grab handle, because you have a crossbody strap there. So I figure either it's really uncomfortable or it's really comfortable. I can't figure out which one it is. It's one of the two. But it's obviously not something you use on just any bag. It has to be something very unique like this. But it's definitely something that we looked at and thought, that is definitely interesting. And then here's something that I want to show you, because these are tools that we have, right? We've got grommets. Or not grommets, excuse me. We have rivets. We have Chicago screws. And you can get these studded looking ones pretty much, you know, at any leather supply shop. If you want to jazz up your bag, you know, whether in this case, they did a lot of jazzing, right? They did the flap, the handle, the crossbody strap, but you don't have to go this far with it. You could certainly use some rivets or some Chicago screws, some decorative things to jazz it up. It's also a really good way to extend the handle of your bag, kind of like what we just talked about a minute ago, where if you've got, you know, making a bag, you don't have enough leather or faux leather left to make a regular size handle, you could piece it together using some rivets. And I think it would be really beautiful, and it would just kind of serve two purposes. It would definitely jazz it up. Okay, so there's a little inspiration for you. We are hoping that you take some of that and run with it and post it on our Facebook group, because we'd love to see what you do. All right, we are going to move on to our demonstration, and we're gonna go to the overhead camera, and I'm going to show you how to make handles. Okay, so I was on a mission at one point to try to come up with some way to hide the raw edge of a handle without having to use the hardware. And of course, we can edge paint, we can use edge punches and do all that, which I do a lot. But this is something that I came up with, that I basically tuck the end into the strap. Okay, and you see there is a little bit of raw edge there. You could certainly edge paint that, but it takes away a lot of it, and it certainly gives it a different look. So I'm going to show you how to do this. This is our end result, but I'm going to set this aside for just a minute. And I have just a small piece of strap here. Now what I'm going to do is bring over my cutting mat, because we're going to do just a little bit of cutting. And I'm going to measure about 3 inches down. And I'm just going to draw a line. And then I'm also going to measure about 1 1/4 inches and draw another line. Okay, so this is basically what I'm working with here. I'm going to take my scissors, and to this first line, I'm going to cut off the stitching. So what this means is that if you're doing this on a bag, you need to make sure you back stitch up earlier before the edge. Let's just pretend I did that. So I'm going to cut to that point. And then I'm going to cut off the little ends. Okay. So then I have these 2 pieces of strap here. I'm also going, the one that's on the back side, I'm going to go ahead and cut that off as well. And then with this, what's left, that's what we're going to feed through. I'm just going to make a little point to make it easier to feed through. Okay. So from here, I am going to take a craft knife and I'm going to cut a slit. Now, what you want to make sure of is that you do not cut all the way through your handle, right? You only want to cut the first 2 layers. And you want to cut between your stitch lines. Don't cut. If you cut your stitch line, obviously it's going to come apart. So we don't want to do that. So I'm just going to very carefully make a slit right on that line. And make a slit, kind of fold this in half, see how far you've gone. I can go a little bit deeper. I really want to get through 2 layers because obviously these handles are 4 layers. 2 layers of faux. Okay. I like to use my turn tool to kind of stick this in and make a section to actually put this little tab through. Then you're going to put your hardware on, whatever your hardware may be. I'm just going to use this swivel clasp. And you're going to feed this inside that slot. Now you're going to need some kind of, I usually use my awl. Get that in there. You want to make sure it feeds all the way in. Okay. And then what you're going to do is I go to the machine and I just stitch a line up, just like what you see here. Okay, to hold that in place. And then you end up with a mostly hidden end. Okay, so that's just something that you can try on some of your bags. See if that's something that you like. I personally love to do that because it really does hide. And if you put a little bit of edge paint on those corners, you can't even tell. It's really great. And that vertical line, I think, kind of gives it a neat look. You could certainly stitch in the other direction if you prefer. You know, it's your bag. You do what you want. Okay. So we are going to, at this point, go over a couple other resources that we have on our website. One is, and it's actually on our YouTube channel, how to avoid twisting handles. And we actually went over this in the first live stream, so you could refer back to that. Or we actually have a video on how to do that because so many of us have problems with handles that twist. You know, we go through, we think we've done a great job. You stitch them, you lay them on the table, and they're like a snake and they twist around. Okay, so make sure you check out that video. And then the other thing is, just like I mentioned, you know, throughout this live stream so far, we have a lot of resources on our website, free little patterns and free little tips of pattern pieces that you can download, and you can hack a lot of the patterns that we have and make some of these really unique straps and other things. Okay, so we encourage you to take advantage of that. So we want to make sure that as we finish up this segment, we want to see what you do. So make sure you post whatever you do differently with your Simply Classic patterns to the Simply Classic community group. And we'd love to see what you do. Okay. So we are going to move on to the Thursday thread. And in the Thursday thread here recently, we've been talking about bag history. So we're going to continue on with that. And tonight we are going to talk about, his name is Guccio Gucci. Okay, he's Italian. So Guccio Gucci was born in Italy in 1881, and he moved to London when he was a teenager. So I guess the thing back in the 1800s was when you're a teenager, you leave home, because that seems to be the common theme here. When he was in London, he got a job as a bellhop at the luxurious Savoy Hotel, and he was really inspired by the upscale luggage that the wealthy guests had. Gucci went on to work for various luggage designers over the next few years, and he ended up opening up his own shop in Florence, Italy in 1921 at the age of 40. So at first, the brand focused on luggage and crafting high-quality gear for equestrians, like saddles and leather bags. And then as time went on, they were able to hire more folks and more artisans, and then they began selling handbags. So he was known to be a very innovative brand. Okay, the Gucci brand has always been very innovative, and they really introduced some unique products and techniques, including pigskin leather bags. Now, for those of you who don't know much about leather, pigskin is typically the leather they use to make clothing. It's very thin. It's very, very soft. It's got a very soft temper. So I would be really interested to see some of these bags and see how they used it, because I bet you they were super soft. And I'd just be interested in the shape, just see what they did. They actually developed a new leather tanning method that kind of became their signature as well. So in the 1930s, they introduced this classic. It was the Gucci Diamante pattern. And you can see it here. The pattern is still featured on many of their handbags today. So during World War II, of course, the Gucci family had to get creative, just like all the other designers out there, because they had limited supplies to work with. So their bags, of course, went to more plant-based materials like cotton and hemp and wicker, wood, linen, jute, all that kind of good stuff. So they most famously created, they called it the bamboo bag. And it used bamboo handles. And also it looks like it used a bamboo lock here. And this is one of their innovative designs that really became a hallmark of their brand. Many other designers, of course, have been inspired by the look over the years. So Guccio Gucciani, or Gucci, excuse me, not Gucciani, Guccio Gucci died in 1953. And at that point, his four sons took over the business. Right around that time, Gucci as a brand gained international recognition. And that is when we got the Jackie bag. Of course, it was named after Jackie Kennedy. So you can see Jackie Kennedy here carrying her Gucci bag. And this Jackie on the right-hand side is the modern version of that. Now, let me say that it wasn't, I don't think it was 2 weeks ago, someone sent me this bag, this Jackie bag, and said, oh, can you please make us a pattern for it? It is cool. What is interesting is it just has a swivel clasp and a D-ring holding it together, I think, on that one. There was one I saw that did. It was really basic, but I love the shape of this. So in the 1960s, they introduced the interlocking GG monogram pattern that we see here. As with the Diamante, this is a long-lasting signature pattern for the Gucci brand. So in the 70s and 80s, the company struggled because of family feud among the Guccis and some legal trouble. It didn't stop them from continuing to grow in popularity, though. The company had record-breaking profits in the 80s, but lost most of its prestige because it became a very common brand and it wasn't as exclusive anymore. Under new leadership in the 90s, they closed most of their stores to make the brand feel a little bit more exclusive again. They hired Tom Ford as their creative director, and he brought us some more modern takes on the Gucci look. And here are a few of those bags. So they had the horse-bit convertible clutch, which of course the front of that looks like the bit of a horse. And then on the right, they had a suede backpack. And you can see here that they used that bamboo handle just like they did years back, in the early 1900s. So in 2015, Alessandro Michele launched the renaissance of the Gucci brand. And basically, he revived the vintage Gucci looks, like the GG monogram pattern from the 60s, and he revived the Jackie bag, which is what we see today. He had that Jackie pattern had actually been retired. He brought it back. They also licensed the Gucci brand to create lower quality products, which were more affordable for people. So it was very successful, but the brand kind of became a little oversaturated and therefore, again, became less prestigious. So at this point in time, Gucci is kind of back where it was in the 80s, okay? It is still very popular. It's no longer seen as like a top brand anymore because, it's just, there's a lot of them. And whenever you have something that goes from being very prestigious to more common, it loses some of its popularity or luxury status, I guess you could say. They recently hired a new CEO to address that specific issue. So, at this point, we'll just kind of see where Gucci goes from here. We'll kind of keep you up to date. All right. So we are going to move on to Artistry Avenue, and Artistry Avenue is where we feature all of you. All of our artists that post photos in the Simply Classic Community Facebook group or email us at share@simplyclassic.net. We love to see your Simply Classic makes. So if you post something and you are featured on Artistry Avenue, then you will receive a free PDF Simply Classic pattern of your choice. All right, so let's see what caught our attention this week. So this here is a bag by Roxanne Seymour. It is a Julie, and I love, so many people are making the Julies with this center pocket being a different color, and I really think that's a great look. It's really a beautiful bag. She did a really fantastic job with it. Of course, the Julie is such a classic. She used this Long John strap as an anchor, which is a great accent to it as well. So then the Roseanne, Roseanne has been around for a while. It is just such a classic. Of course, we recently wrote a pattern for it, but it's been around a long time. It's a great way to combine two different colors. And what's better than black and white? Black and white is just so classy. So Lisa Stanford did this Roseanne, and she really did a fantastic job with it. And then the Fairhaven is a bag we don't see that often. It's obviously one of the first Simply Classic patterns. It's a big tote bag. But Kim Hilger made this, and what I love about it so much is she modified it. So I love it when y'all modify the patterns that I do. I think it's fantastic that you're making it your own. This bag is big enough to add pockets to the exterior, which is what she did. And she did a really great job with it. So I see she's got a lot of snow too. I'm not sure when she took the picture, but I want to congratulate everyone that was featured on Artistry Avenue this week. Make sure you email us. You have 30 days to email us at share@simplyclassic.net. Let us know what pattern you would like, and we will go ahead and get it to you right away. Okay, whoops, I'm dropping things. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, we gave away a color wheel, and the person who won it was actually international. I'm sorry, she was international, and we don't ship internationally right now. So we are going to give it away again tonight. So if you go back, I think it wasn't last episode, it was the one before, you can see how to use that color wheel. And this is a mini pocket version. It is really great. So if you would like to win the color wheel, and I had it right here, and it's kind of disappeared on me. But if you're interested in winning the color wheel, here it is. All right. It is the rainbow color wheel. Okay. Go ahead and type the word rainbow in the chat. Make sure you're in the United States. Okay. We're going to ship it to U.S. residents only. This is one of those that it's hard to ship overseas. So type rainbow. And while you're typing, we are going to answer some questions. And the first one is one that Sharon asked on YouTube. I made the Sorella, and she asked me about leather. She said that she wants to make a Sorella in leather, and she wanted to know if she should skive the leather or, what kind of pieces she should use. And I just grabbed my Sorella. Sorry about that. All right, let's go to the overhead. I'm going to move some stuff out of the way. I want to show you this Sorella. So this one is actually made in leather. Okay. And it's a leather we carry. It was about 0.8 ounces. I did not skive it. Okay. Not at all. The only thing I would say is, Sharon, if you're using a leather that is thicker than 0.8 millimeters, what you may want to consider is to do this front seam wrong sides together and then go ahead and edge coat. So kind of like the same way you do this back seam, or don't edge coat. If it's leather, you really don't have to, but you can do it wrong sides together. So if your leather is 8 millimeters, which is about a 2-ounce leather, you should be able to do the Sorella no problem without skiving. I have found that basically when you get up to 3 ounces, you're usually okay if you have the right kind of machine. If you get anything thicker than that, then you're going to want to go ahead and skive it. And you want to skive it to about a 0.8 millimeter so you can turn the leather where you need to. Okay. So Judith reached out and asked if she could use the RFID blocking material with our adhesive nylon lining. Yes, I don't see why you could not. I think that would be a great thing. And of course, that is a blocking agent that you can put in your wallets to make sure that when you're out and about, people aren't scamming and trying to get your credit card number. And you would just stick it on the back. You know, go ahead and create your slot, stick it on the back, and then go ahead and sew it to your bag, and it should be good. Probably stick it between the layers since it's an adhesive that too. It'd be great. So, excuse me, Juanita asked, how do you finish the edge or the ends on webbing to keep it from fraying or raveling? And that's really a great question. So you could do a couple things. You could, if it's cotton, you don't want to burn it because it won't melt, right? The only thing that melts are the man-made products. So in our case, the webbing that we have is it's probably cotton blend, cotton poly blend. But what I would do is I would actually put a piece of leather or a piece of faux leather around that end and then stitch that end to the webbing itself. You know, put a piece of hardware and stitch it to itself. Or another thing you could do, if it's thin enough, you could just double fold it. The zigzag we have, you can double fold. I think that the ostrich, or not ostrich, the peacock would be a little bit difficult because it is a little thicker and a little stiffer. All right, Rock Leatherworks asks, can you glue the Decaville on real leather? You probably can. It surely would stabilize it where you need it to. I have used heat to put it on as well. It sticks really well. You just obviously don't want to use anything too hot. And depending on the leather, it could, you know, possibly ruin your leather. So yes, but I would say go ahead and you can glue it on there. Usually the leather glue, of course, you want to put on both pieces, right? So you're going to want to put it on your Decaville or whatever kind of stiffener you're using. And then you're also going to want to put it on your leather, let it dry a little bit, and then stick them together. Yes. So Nancy asked, have you ever used aquarium tubing for rolled handles? I have not, but I don't see why you can't. I think that you can get really creative with that. There's obviously leather that you can buy to put into your handles, like a bonded leather. But you could also use the aquarium tubing. You can use just like regular cotton cording. You can use poly cording. You could use a lot. So I would say anything that you can find like that. Once it's in the leather, nobody knows, right? Get creative. I think that's great. All right. And then JP asks, do you add rivets? So to handles, I think is what she's talking about. So, you know, whenever you actually attach a handle to a bag, you can either sew it or you can rivet it, or you can do both. And so depending on the bag, there are times when I do both, just to make, if it's a bigger bag, you really want to make sure that your bag is secure. The more we stuff in our bags, the heavier it gets, right? And therefore, the more secure you want it to be. There are a few bags like the Compton that we have that there's rivets securing the bag and that's it, but it's 3 rivets on each side of the handle. So it's really got some good security. You always want to make sure that your rivets are long enough, because if they're too short, even if you go and press them in, they're not going to connect well enough and it'll come apart. Okay, so just be careful about that. So Mary asks, could you show us some ways to attach a strap after the bag is made when you forget to sew in the connector? Sounds like you have experience, Mary. Yeah, so I'll tell you the best way, and I'm going to go back to the overhead here for just a minute, is if you have a bag like the Bircham, where you've got a zipper placket and you have some space here, you could do something like this. So basically what this is a piece of faux leather that has been turned to the center. I went ahead and used a punch to get a nice rounded edge and then just stuck it right over this section and riveted it in place. So this is an example of one being held on with just rivets, nothing else. And that's basically what you'd have to do, because once all your seams are sewn, you're going to have to find a way to actually rivet something onto the bag. You don't have to do it at the top. You could certainly do it here on the side somewhere, but just make sure if you do it on the side, you don't actually cut any of your side seam stitches, because if you do, that will fall apart, and you don't want that to happen. That's a great question. I'm sure we've all had that happen. So Juanita asks, I've seen where you can buy leather strapping for straps. What thickness is recommended? So, you know, there's different kinds of leather. Typically for just leather straps, a lot of times they use veg tan leather. And a veg tan is usually a little bit thicker, stiffer, hardier leather. Definitely hardier than what we have here, because we're using softer lambskin. Thickness, that's kind of a preference, because some people like a thinner strap. And when I say thinner, I don't mean width, I mean thickness. I mean, sometimes width too. But so it's not just the width itself, it's actually the thickness of it. You certainly want it to be thick enough that it's not going to give way on you. But leather is really strong. We used to take leather, like strips of leather, literally just like small 1/8 of an inch strips, and tie our coats and stuff to the saddle. And once you tied it, it did not fall off. So it really is a preference, but I would at least start with a 1 millimeter leather and then maybe go up from there. So Roxanne asks, would you consider carrying the leather stiffeners? Yes, I have looked at it, and it's just not easy to find. I really would love to carry some of the Salpa, and we're looking for a supplier, but I was actually going to Italy to try to find those directly from Italy, and they use different kind of stuff over there. So that's something that we're looking into, and we are trying to work out, because I really feel like the stiffeners are important and I need to do that. So that's a great question. So I think this is Ether. I'm sorry. Do you have a strap and die cutter you would recommend? So yes, I like, and it really doesn't matter what brand necessarily. I think I got mine from Tandy Leather, and it's an end punch, and they come in different shapes and sizes too. So I have a curved edge, and I have it for a 1 inch strap and a 1.5 inch strap, just because those are the ones I use the most. A lot of times I'll use my 1.5 inch edge punch on my 1 inch strap, just to give it a less severe curve. Totally up to you how you want to do it. There's an English point, and there's different things like that you can do. So I would just say, go to a leather shop. So you're going to look at Tandy Leather, Springfield Leather, Weaver Leather, Rocky Mountain Leather, any of those leather places. Don't buy them from Amazon. And the reason why is because I got a set from Amazon thinking, oh, I got all these different sizes, it's going to be great. And the first time I hit it, it bent. So you really want to get one from a reputable place. They're not cheap. They're $50, $60. And, they're a little high. But once you have it, you take care of it, you can sharpen it, you can use it forever, and you'll be good to go. Okay, so our winner for the rainbow color wheel is Brenda Miller. So congratulations, Brenda. You have won the color wheel. So Brenda, make sure you email us. Email share@simplyclassic.net. If you can do it within the next 24 hours, 48 hours at the most, that would be fantastic, because these giveaways, we really need y'all to get with us right away. Okay. Because otherwise things fall by the wayside and we have to give it away again. We certainly don't want to do that. So go ahead and email us and give us your address when you email us, and then we will get it out to you. Okay. So we are going to finish up tonight. Next live will be next Thursday, January 30th. And we're going to talk about the 3 T's of leather. That is thickness, type, and temper. So it's going to be a great live. We're going to learn a lot about leather. If you've never worked with leather, you just want to learn more about it, it's going to be a great one. Okay. So until next time, everybody, happy sewing. Stay warm.